How do you prove your country music street cred? That's what we're going to be talking about in today's episode. My name's Grady, and if you've never been here before, I listen to country music and whatever else I want to on this channel. And recently I posted a video a couple weeks ago of my 10 favorite country songs of all time. These were ones that meant a lot to me. And I a little bit, like 10% maybe, clickbaited in the title and said the best country songs of all time, according to me. Which was true, but a lot of people were like, this list doesn't have Hank, it doesn't have Merle, it doesn't have George Strait, so I can't respect it. Some of the purists can get a little annoying in that way, where like, I'm a country fan, I'm not the enemy. So sometimes when people yell at me like, you don't talk about Hank enough, it's just like, sit yourself down, chill out. I'm an ally to the country music scene here. The reality is I'm a product of my own time, and it's fun to follow music in your own time. And it got me thinking a lot about, what are the top 10 songs that you're supposed to say? What are the songs that you talk about when you want to show your country music street cred, that you want to show that you have the right opinions about country music? I mean, if we're being honest, I'm not a country person. I've never chased a rooster. You can say I ain't country, which would be a good merch idea. I've been real deep into country music for maybe 7 years, but in the time before that, I was just a casual country music fan growing up. That said, I have learned a ton and dove into the classics and listened to a bunch of greatest hits albums. I've tried to put together the country music history as best as I can.
I'm baking muffins as best as I can!
So I wanted to do a video today about 10 songs that I would mention if I wanted to show my country music street cred. And I think this will be kind of fun because I think we all do this in different areas in life. For some people, if you don't know anything about basketball, in a group conversation to say like,
I mean, LeBron's one of the best ever.
You can just do that, and it's not like you actually know what you're talking about. I'm going to give you a little guide of how to do that in the country music scene. Before I jump in, I do want to say a shout out to today's sponsor, Flag and Anthem. Flag and Anthem is a premium men's brand that makes kind of vintage-inspired Western wear, and they've got really, really good stuff. I mean, their shirts are so soft and so comfortable, not too boxy, not too fitted. Dierks Bentley's got a line with them, and you can get some of his nice shirts. I love the Free and Easy t-shirt in particular, and their jeans are really comfortable as well. You can get a discount at Flag and Anthem using my promo code or using my link, both of which are in the description down below. Alright, so 10 songs to prove your country music street cred. Let's start with a few songs that prove that you know your country music history. And the first one that you got to talk about in that conversation is Can the Circle Be Unbroken by the Carter Family.
Oh, can the circle be unbroken?
The Carter Family is widely known as the first family of country music, and this was by far their biggest and most iconic hit. It's a gospel-tinged song that features Maybelle Carter's very, very famous picking style on guitar that in many ways is one of the main legacies that the Carter family left behind. If you want to really prove that you know history, reference this song from the 20s because it was kind of the big bang of country music. It's also useful if you are in the very specific debate that Virginians, like me, often get into about where did country music start? Because these people are from Southwest Virginia, and Bristol, Tennessee and Bristol, Virginia are, 1 minute apart. And so both Tennessee and Virginia kind of claim the start of country music. So it's fun if you're ever in that debate, which I feel like I often am. The next one I'd mention is Crazy by Patsy Cline.
I'm crazy for trying.
Crazy is one of the most iconic songs in country music by one of the most iconic and tragically gone too soon performers in country music, Patsy Cline. She has a gorgeous voice, it's a complex melody, and fun fact, it was written by Willie Nelson. This is a song that is about a woman that feels crazy, stupid in a way, for how deep her love is. You would bring up this song if anyone was dumb enough to make the argument that women don't make good country music. You would talk about this song if you wanted to reference just a real classic.
I got a stereo and the best of Patsy Cline
of the 60s country sound. Next, let's talk about Kiss an Angel Good Morning by Charley Pride.
You've got to kiss an angel good morning.
This was a song released in 1971 by Charley Pride, and it became the biggest hit of his career. It spent 5 weeks at #1. It's a simple song about keeping your wife happy and kissing her good morning. And this song is notable because of the guy behind it, Charley Pride. There's a common narrative that, country music is a white person genre, and there's another common narrative that it's like stolen only from black people. And the reality is it was a mix of different cultures that created country music, but it is an authentically American art form. Still, I think that this song is not only a really fun song, it is also important to remember that there is an extensive history of black artists within country music. And that's when you would reference this. If someone says, oh, well, black people don't make country music, you can be like, well, no, there was some giant hits from Charlie Pride. And also, if you ever want to have fun, just go watch Charlie Pride interviews from today. He's no BS, and I like him. Then let's talk about He Stopped Loving Her Today by George Jones.
He said, I love you till I die.
This song was released in 1980, and for many people it is considered the best country lyric of all time, or the saddest country song of all time. And for a lot of country fans, those things go hand in hand. This song has an amazing twist, and the same way that people closer to my age might feel about Whiskey Lullaby and the kind of shocking sadness of that song when we were growing up.
Put that bottle to his head and pulled the trigger.
That's how a lot of people, maybe in the generation before, feel about He Stopped Loving Her Today by George Jones. He has one of the great voices of country music and, some of the most interesting history and sometimes bad history within country music. But George Jones, this is a classic song. You would talk about this if you know nothing about country, but you wanted to pretend like you do. Just say, I think the best country song ever is He Stopped Loving Her Today. You could do that. You could just fake it, and no one's going to push against that. The last song I'd mention if you want to really show off that you know the history of country music is I Will Always Love You by Dolly Parton. There are a lot of people that don't know that I Will Always Love You, the song made extra, extra, extra famous by Whitney Houston, was actually a simple little Dolly Parton song first.
Bittersweet memory.
She actually wrote it for Porter Wagner as almost a breakup to no longer being on his show and wanting to go pursue her own country music career. And it was this tender song of like, I don't want to leave you, but I have to leave you. If there is ever a hater in your life that says they just hate country music, you should try to change the subject or fool them that you're changing the subject and be like, you know what song rules is I Will Always Love You. And they'll agree with you, and then just pull the rug out from under them and say it's actually written by Dolly Parton. It works. I've done this before. Let's move past the history section now, though, because the reality is most people don't actually care that much about country music history, even though they claim to a lot of times. Let's talk about the four kind of dudes that are on the Mount Rushmore of country street cred. And the first one of those is Hank Williams.
Got a song here that I'd like to do.
Now, I don't have one specific song chosen for Hank Williams because there's so many iconic hits that he recorded in his short career, which I think he only recorded even from like 47 to the early 50s. And again, he died too soon, but it depends who you're talking to, which Hank song you would reference, but you gotta reference one. So if it's someone that likes upbeat music, maybe tell them about Hey Good Lookin'.
Hey, good looking.
If it's someone that likes really, really, really sad music, maybe say I'm So Lonesome I Could Cry.
I'm so lonesome I could cry.
If you're talking to a kid that likes memes, maybe say Lovesick Blues because of Yodel Boy, kind of bringing that back.
She'll do me, she'll do you. She's got that kind of loving.
There's A Tear in My Beer, there's Your Cheatin' Heart. There's so many iconic country songs that Hank did, but you gotta mention Hank. The next dude you gotta mention is Waylon Jennings. Now, I've long said that Waylon Jennings is probably my main blind spot within country music. It's not like I don't know Waylon Jennings, but I just know the huge, huge, huge hits. And when I think of his name, I think of Good Hearted Woman.
She's a good-hearted woman in love with a good time.
And I think of the fact that he was friends with Willie Nelson, but I don't know a ton of his songs. But the one I definitely know, and the one in a certain setting that I would mention, would be Are You Sure Hank Done It This Way?
Rhinestone suits and new shiny cars.
Because that kind of simmering protest, that anger that people have about country music changing, that's been a narrative for a long time. And it's something that I buy into to this day. And sometimes I go back and listen to that and you're like, well, maybe country's always had this crazy identity crisis. And in some ways, it's like Waylon was proving his country cred even then by referencing Hank, just like I'm telling you to. The next dude you gotta mention is Merle Haggard, and the song I would go with is Mama Tried.
No one could steer me right, but Mama tried. Mama tried.
Mama Tried is one of his most iconic hits, if not his most iconic hit. And maybe you would talk about Mama Tried if you are making fun of Keith Urban, which is another good strategy to do improving your country cred. You can say he really bastardized the little guitar lick from it on his song Coming Home. You could also mention it if you're like, oh gosh, moms are just annoying, moms over worry. You could just be like, Dude, that's a tale as old as time. Even Merle was singing about that on Mama Tried. Then the fourth guy you gotta mention, especially if you're talking to someone a little bit younger, is gonna be George Strait. King George out of Texas. He has so many great songs, but the one I would go with is Amarillo by Morning.
Amarillo by morning, up from
Now I'd say you reference Amarillo by Morning if you want to kind of emphasize the beef between Texas and Nashville. There's maybe not beef, but rivalry. You would reference George Strait as being kind of the king of Texas country music, or you would talk about Amarillo by Morning if you want to say we need fiddles back in country music, because it features one so prominently.
Amarillo by morning.
But all in all, it's just a great freaking song. It was one of those ones I was sad to leave off my top 10 list. And then the last category, and I know I only have one slot left, is for the younger, more modern country fans. For people that don't care about the greats, for people whose existence within country only kind of matters in the right now. There are certain artists that you can and you can't mention. Now, if you're talking to a standard pop country, radio, Nashville, unquestioning country music, casual fan, the people that you name to say that country music's getting better are going to be Chris Stapleton, and you'd play them Tennessee Whiskey. Or you would play them Luke Combs and maybe She Got the Best of Me. Those are going to be your two safest bets of big mainstream guys that you can really push. Now, if you're talking to someone out in the Texas scene, that's a whole different game of street cred, and I won't pretend to know all of it. But the ones that seem the safest to say would be to say you love Turnpike Troubadours and Cody Johnson, and maybe Randy Rogers Band. If you're talking to a hipster, like maybe someone more like me, and you really want to prove your country cred, so they don't know about the Texas scene and they roll their eyes at the Nashville scene, the people you're going to want to mention are probably Tyler Childers or Sturgill Simpson. And Sturgill is not even country right now, so you'd mention Tyler Childers. That would be your best play that you could make. And if you're talking to an older hipster, maybe Jason Isbell. I guess I'm editing this video now, and remember there's one more category of people I forgot, and that's the people that don't define country music musically. They define it by the lifestyle, by how they grew up, if you grew up in the sticks, if you're a farm boy. And I would say to them, the safe bets would be to mention that you like maybe Brantley Gilbert or Upchurch. I see you, Upchurch fans. I know you want me to cover him. It's not my scene. But that's how the country street cred game works, I would say. I thought this would be a sort of funny video, and I actually like every single song that I talked about in this. I love a lot of those classics, so I know I'm kind of being a little bit cheeky in mentioning them, but I love all of those songs and don't want to come across like I'm hating on them. I ain't. I'm just saying there's a certain coded language for how you represent yourself as a country music fan, and I don't always like to play that game. I like to keep it 100 and just be real and honest, and I'm pretty omnivorous. If you listen to my podcast, which all of you should, it's called Free Country with Grady Smith. You know I like some pop country stuff, and I like traditional stuff. I think there's room for all of it. So like I said, I can say I ain't country, but I do love country music, and I'd love to know what songs you think prove your country street cred the most. All right, guys, that's it from me. I will see you guys soon with another video.